All right, let me get myself hooked up here. It's May the 10th, and I'm the nervous woman, so hang on. Okay, that should be good. Okay. We'll put that there. We'll try and keep the hair behind the back. Welcome to the nervous woman. That's me. My name is Poet. I live in Pennsylvania. Quick backstory. My partner of 14 years died last year in February of multiple system atrophy. I was alone for 6 months. I met someone on Facebook dating. We got engaged in October of last year. We got married January of this year. So we're on month 4 of our new marriage. We bought a townhome in February and we're settling in. So my husband's name is George. My late partner's name is Sky. So that's the backstory. I'm 65 and 9 months old, and my husband is in his 70th year. He picked up this book for me. I don't know if I showed this in a video. I can make some videos and then I delete them, and so I may or may not have showed this, but if I haven't shown this, this is Joyce Carol Oates, and this is her memoir on a widow's story. She's my favorite female author. My favorite male author is Jerry Spinelli. I think I've said this. And my favorite poet is Langston Hughes. If you are a widow or widower, or if you're going through being a caregiver and the end result will be you will be a widow, you might want to get this book. You can get it from your library most likely. You can get it used from Amazon. George bought me a new copy. I've read this 3 times cover to cover. It's over 400 pages. Joyce Carol Oates lost her husband, and this is such a raw story of how she survived or not her losing her husband. This was put out in, I believe it was 2011 is the copyright. Like I said, it's over 400 pages. And it says on the back of the book, and if on a February morning in 2008, Joyce Carol Oates drove her ailing husband, Raymond Smith, to the emergency room of the Princeton Medical Center, where he was diagnosed with pneumonia. In less than a week, Ray died from a hospital-acquired virulent infection, and Joyce was suddenly faced with the stunning reality of widowhood. A widow's story illuminates one woman's struggle to comprehend a life absent of the partnership that had sustained and defined her for nearly half a century. And as never before, Joyce Carol Oates shares the derangement of denial, the anguish of loss, the disorientation of the survivor amid a nightmare of death duties, and the solace of friendship. Here is a frank acknowledgement of the widow's desperation, only gradually yielding to the recognition that this is my life now. Enlivened by the piercing vision, acute perception, and mordant humor that are the hallmarks of the works of Joyce Carol Oates, this moving tale of life and death, love and grief, offers a candid, never-before-glimpsed view of this acclaimed author and fiercely private woman. Please, please try to read A Widow's Story by Joyce Carol Oates. Even if you're not a widow and you're in a marriage or relationship, you know, none of us gets out of this alive. So at some point, someone's going to be left alone. Someone's going to be left behind. Someone's going to be the one to stay, and someone's going to be the one to go. I got my coffee. Cafe mocha, French vanilla, and then ice cubes and my Mr. Coffee, and George frothed it for me. I've got a metal straw. We picked up 4 metal straws at Dollar Zone for $2, and then the cleaner. So if you want inexpensive metal straws, go over to Dollar Zone. I did some videos over the last few days. I did not put them up. They were way too long. And you guys are crooked. Okay, there we go. So in the last video that I put up, I think it was the last one, there was a couple of comments that I'm going to address just real quickly. We're going to keep these brief. I also have a video that is all together, and I'm going to be putting it up a little bit later today. And my husband is an oil painter, and he and I did clips together of him doing stretcher bars and putting everything together, and his painting on the stretcher bar, and all. It's just a whole neat set of clips. So if you're into oil painting and how all that comes about, the video is about 23 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and put it up later, and it's him explaining everything that he does, and it's really fascinating. And he's down in the basement now, and he's going to be sketching his next drawing. He has canvas that he ordered from Temu, and he's got enough canvas to do about 30 or 40 oil paintings. So I'll be doing some filming of him as he paints, and we'll go through all of the process of how he puts his pictures together, his paintings together. And then at some point, he's going to have an Etsy shop up and running. And so I'll give you guys the info for that if anybody would be interested. And then I'll have my blog on my website, and I'll be writing about my life and the times and the stories and all that. But I just want to talk a minute. Tomorrow is Mother's Day. Someone in the comments asked me, how did I raise 5 kids with this amount of anxiety? And I have 7 kids. I gave birth to 7 kids, not 5. And I had a set of twins. So I had a daughter. And then 10 months later, I had a set of twins. And then, so let me see. In 1978, I had a daughter. In October of 1978, I had a daughter. In September 1979, I had twin daughters. In February of 1982, I had a son. Then in November of 1988, I had a son. And then in May of 1991, I had a daughter. And then in 1999, I had my last son. So how did I raise my kids with all kinds of anxiety? My last son lived with his dad from the age of 14 on. We did weekends, but his permanent residence was with his dad. My 4 oldest kids were all out in Arizona, and I have a daughter in Texas, living in Texas. My one son is all the way across the state, at the other end of the state, like 5 hours away. There's so much pollen. I'm sorry, there's so much pollen and stuff in the air. We've got tons of wind. So how did I raise kids with anxiety? I'm going to answer that by saying, how do I do anything with anxiety? How do I cook? How do I drive the car? How do I shop? How do I clean my home? How do I watch a movie? How do I read a book? How do I talk to you guys? How do I do anything? I can tell you what I missed out on the most was going to my kids' school functions. I was at everyone's graduations, of course. All of my kids are high school graduates, and all of them except, let's see, first one went to college, second one went to college, third one took college classes from home, I believe, when she was much older. The son didn't go to college, did graduate high school. My son that's across the state, he took a couple of college classes. Things didn't go well. He ended up doing some jail and prison time. We'll talk about that and how that affected me with anxiety in another video. For everybody that's been with me forever, you guys know all about that story. And my daughter, definitely college, got her bachelor's, then got her master's, and maybe finished her PhD by now. I don't know. We haven't spoken for a little while, but she was that close to getting her PhD, and is still very much in the college. My youngest son did not go to college. He was homeschooled from when he was 8 to when he was 18, and he has a Pennsylvania diploma. Now, maybe he's taken home courses. I don't know. We haven't spoken for a few years. There's a lot of there's a lot of fragmented relationships in my family, with my children, with sisters, with like our like families. A lot of families, a lot, not just mine. I'm learning a lot of families are like this. You know, somebody gets mad about this. Somebody won't talk to somebody because somebody's talking to that person, and somebody's not liking that you said this and you gave an opinion as a mom. How dare you? There's all that. So I raised kids the same way I've done everything else. You know, my mom had severe anxiety. She raised 7 kids. How? With having a beer a day, having a little bottle of whiskey to take a swig from when we were real little, and so that she could go into the grocery store, you know, that little swig of whiskey, because there wasn't Valium and stuff like that way back in the day. If my mother had lived, she would have turned 100 this year. And my dad, too, would be 100 this year. So one day at a time is how I did it. One day at a time. I cried a lot. I missed a lot of functions, like where there was going to be a lot of people. Yeah. But I did my best. Someone else mentioned about seeing a cardiologist because my heart was acting up. I've done that. And I appreciate you for mentioning it. I've had so many EKGs. I've had a lot. I've been to the ER. I've called 911 a billion times. I've been in ambulances. I've had EKGs. I've had echoes. I've had chest x-rays. I wore a Holter monitor 3 separate times. I had a 24-hour Holter monitor. I had a 3-day Holter monitor. I had a 7-day Holter monitor. And what the doctors came up with was I have PVCs and PACs, and they're the okay kind, because if they were going to kill you, they would have. It's one of those things. I notice sometimes that when I eat, certain things that I eat will flare up these weird feelings in my heart. When Sky got really, really, really sick and was within months of dying, my heart rate would elevate quite a bit. That's when my doctor put me on a beta blocker. I'm on metoprolol, and metoprolol is good for anxiety too. So I'm on 25 milligram, which is the lowest dose you can get, and I can take it twice a day if I need it. Right now I take it in the morning, and that usually helps me through the whole day with the weird heart feelings, you know, like kind of jumping, skipping kind of thing. I had an echo done a couple years ago. The echo showed nothing other than a very tiny leak in the mitral valve, which happens as you age. So that's that. I'm only on 2 medications, prescription medications. I'm on alprazolam prescribed, and I'm on metoprolol. Metoprolol is my PCP prescribes it, and my benzo, my psychiatrist prescribes that. I will be going back over to lorazepam, which is Ativan, because the Ativan just works better for me. It stays in my system longer and helps me to stay a little bit calmer. I also take 1 cranberry capsule every single day to help keep UTIs away. I'm an older woman. I've had a hysterectomy. My bladder has dropped. I have a tendency to have like cluster UTIs. So if I get one, chances are 2 days or so later I'm going to get another one, you know. So I take those bladder numbing pills. I don't even call the doctor anymore. I take those bladder numbing pills, and I do that for 2 days, and usually that's the end of it, you know. And in the other question or comment was someone said about maybe talking to my doctor about different medication. And I appreciate that. Like, these are all the really good comments, and you guys have been so sweet and so kind. So thank you for that. I need that. I have been tried on basically everything that's on the market. And I'm not kidding when I say that. The list that my doctor has, the list of what he's tried it's almost never ending. And then we tried everything over the counter. We tried all the vitamins, the herbs, the supplements, the CBD oil, like all of the everythings we've done. I do meditation, I drink green tea, I listen to music, I walk pretty much every day, like upwards of, 700 steps most every day. And now that we're in a house where we have 2 sets of staircases, I'm up and down the staircases, like I get a lot of exercise. I'm like 5'2" and I weigh about 102 pounds, and that's pretty much been me my whole life. So medications, the side effects for me are worse than the panic. So they don't work. They don't work. I can't take even something like Benadryl to help me sleep because it has an opposite effect. I get dizzy spells, I get more heart skips, I get nauseous, I get diarrhea, I get these weird ocular migraines with some medicines. I get either complete 100% insomnia, or I take a pill and I don't wake up for 15 to 18 hours. So that's how that is. So I've been on a benzo forever. Not this year. This year I turned 66 in August. I'm a Leo. Next year I turn 67, if I make it that long. And so I started on this medicine when I was 27. So that'll be 40 years next year of daily use. So it's kind of like I've never asked for more medicine. I've never ran out of my prescription too soon. I've never had any issues or troubles or anything with my medicine. The doctor gives me a prescription. He tells me or she tells me what the dosage is going to be and how much to take, and that's what I do. So they know that to try and take me off this medicine is going to do me more harm than good, you know. So that's kind of where I am. Have I missed out on a lot of life with this? Yeah, I have. There's a lot of things I've missed out on. However, there's a lot of things that I've done. Careers. I've had careers. I've worked. I worked from when I was 16 to when I was 18 because I quit school at 16. My dad signed for me to quit school, leave school, because I couldn't go into school anymore with my nerves like they were. And I got a babysitting job out in the country, watching 2 little boys. And I did that for a couple of years. And then when I was 22, I started working. And I worked, I had one part-time job. The rest of my jobs were all full-time. There was a couple times in my life I worked 2 jobs. I worked a full-time job during the day, and I worked a part-time job in the evening. I usually, with my jobs, had someone I knew with me for some of them. My house cleaning job I did with my mother-in-law, so she was with me. And then I was the church sexton. So my husband at that time, he would go up to the church with me. And the job that I worked in a store, my uncle got me that job, so he was there. I did a mail sorting, hand sorting mail, and my sister got me that job, so she was there. She was there every day. And so there was people around me, you know, that I knew. I think the only job that I did, and we were foster parents, my husband and I, so he was with me. I think the only job that I had a state licensed daycare for childcare, and my husband at that time was with me also because he was home from work on disability because he had a quadruple bypass. So the only job I did, like completely on my own, got it on my own. I went I took classes at a medical institute, and it was a 6-week course, and I became a certified nurse aide at the age of 45. And so I took the classes alone. I drove to the school, and I hooked up with another 40-something-year-old woman. She was 48. I was 45. And we hooked up, and we practiced together and all that, and we became CNAs. And I got my job at our local hospital. I just wrote out a resume and mailed it in, because that's what you did back then, you know. There was no online stuff at that point, at that time. And yeah, and I got a job. And I got a job in the intensive care unit, surgical intensive care unit, as a patient care assistant, PCA. And I was there just about 10 years. And I worked second shift. And I worked a lot of extra shifts. I went in sometimes early. I did 11 to 11:30. Sometimes I went in at 3 and stayed till 3P and stayed till 3A if they needed extra help. And then I signed on with Bayada Home Health Care, and I worked senior care for 3 years. So I went into all different people's houses. I went into nursing homes and all that. How did I do it? One day at a time, on medication, taking it as prescribed to help me to stabilize enough to be able to earn a living. So that's the answer to those three. It's you can't describe it, what this is like. You can try, but it's like trying to describe, like, what is time, or what is the color red, or what does the sun feel like, what is warmth. Try to describe those things, you can't. But my 24/7 fear, anxiety, panic, fatigue, overall fatigue, the being worn out, it takes its toll for sure. But we're going to keep moving on, and we're going to keep talking about things, and I'm going to keep suggesting things. And if I get something from Temu or from the store, I'm going to show you, like the book that George got me and the metal straws. So if you've never been to a Dollar Zone, go into a Dollar Zone and check and see what they have, because they've got some amazing things. Tomorrow is Mother's Day. I'll be here on Mother's Day. I don't really celebrate Mother's Day. I think every day is Mother's Day, every day is Father's Day, every day is Grandparents' Day, Children's Day. I think every day is a day for all of us, right? And so there won't be anything special. I mean, to go out and eat, every place is going to be crowded, which is not going to work for someone with this kind of anxiety. I don't want to go into a crowded place and be so anxious that I can't swallow, right? It's going to be super expensive because prices go up because it's a holiday, and this is when the restaurants make their money. So no thank you. I've got lots of food in the fridge, and we'll make up something here, and that'll be that. So I will be here tomorrow, but I'm going to say early Happy Mother's Day. Whether you're a mom, a grandmom, a stepmom, a foster mom, an adoptive mom, like whatever mom, an animal mom, a pet mom, whatever kind of mom you are, a mom, you have a wonderful day. But I'll be here tomorrow to wish that. And if you have a birthday in the month of May, let me know. The month of May is, I said, it's a kind of messy in a good way and messy in a bad way, and we're going to make the most of it. I have a lot to talk about, like from the heart, and some things are going to be really hard, and some things are going to be really messy, and some things are going to be a lot of fun, and you'll laugh, and some things you'll be able to say, yeah, I went through that too. But that's it for now. I appreciate you. I always end with the Buddhist goodbye and hello of namaste. So namaste, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.